We need that on the federal level.
Yeah,
we have this here. Even if you're talking about these files that are on the desk ready to be processed, give the American people something. We need to start seeing these perp walks. And, I know there's a lot to go through, but
So recently, right-wingers have been complaining that they haven't gotten their Jeffrey Epstein files, and they just realized that Trump's been in office for 100 days now, and there's still no word on the Epstein files. It seems that every single time he's about to release it, the deep state always takes it or something.
The Department of Justice has them, or at least the Attorney General does not have them, or she would have turned them over. The President ordered them released. The Attorney General ordered them released. We all know they have not been released. And one of my biggest fears that I had, and I expressed this with Kash Patel and a lot of people, Stephen Miller, and a lot of people going into the new administration. I'm like, I hope they're not shredding documents right now. This was a few weeks before the transition. I said, I hope they're not shredding documents.
And it seems like everyone around Trump seems to have like all these weird excuses not to release the Epstein files, except the most obvious excuse that there is. And it's that Trump doesn't want it released because Epstein was his best friend, as we see in this clip.
So how do you know this?
That was close to straight.
Now, what's this thing about that functionally he can't read, or he doesn't read, or
He doesn't. Well, he certainly can't read a balance sheet, which is funny. So he's not functionally illiterate. But his reading comprehension is anything complicated.
So yeah, there's Jeffrey Epstein saying that our president could be borderline illiterate, which is a little scary because, I thought we were past the whole illiterate part of our history. But I guess not. I guess we just go back to the dark ages. But going back to what we were saying, a lot of these Trump influencers can't be bothered to do like a quick Google search, because if we were to Google Trump and Epstein, you would see that they were like best friends and they have all these pictures together. And the victim, Virginia Giuffre, was actually scouted in a Trump hotel. So there's that. Now, it's very obvious to anybody with eyes, or I guess in this case, anybody with Google, that Jeffrey Epstein and Trump were connected in some way. Like, you could probably argue that maybe they weren't best friends, or maybe they were just like acquaintances or something. But there's no denying that Epstein and Trump were connected the same way Bill Clinton and Epstein were. So for all these like right-wingers that like to say that Bill Clinton and the Democrats are bad, Trump is also just as bad as. And the worst thing about these right-wing influencers is that that they're lying to their audience, because a lot of them just hide the fact that Trump is even involved. Now, in this clip with the quartering right-wing influencer, race baiter, you can clearly see that he's like glazing over the fact that everybody on Twitter or on X is saying that Trump is a Epstein collaborator. But as he's here, he's kind of explaining like what everybody's saying on Twitter, saying, "Oh, we need the Epstein files now. We need justice for all the girls that have been trafficked and all that." But you see right there? Did you see it? I rewinded for everybody who kind of missed it, but if you see right here, you see that he's clearly looking at the Jeffrey Epstein and Trump pictures together. But obviously, he's not going to say a single word because that'll go against Daddy Trump, and you can't have that. But even so, they all know this. They're still pushing this, like, I guess, conspiracy that it's Pam Bondi's fault that the Jeffrey Epstein files aren't being released. But like every cult, it seems that this cult needs a sacrifice. And in this case, it has to be Pam Bondi, because our local crazy woman, Laura Loomer, who I guess is running the White House now, made a call saying that Pam Bondi has to go. She's out of control. She's bad at her job. She's blonde and she's a woman, so she doesn't know what she's doing. Now, I would criticize that Pam Bondi probably needs to go for other reasons, but these are her reasons.
These binders around pretending like they were given Epstein files by Pam Bondi. Well, turns out there's really nothing in the binder. Then she goes on Fox News and says, "Oh, the files are on my desk right now." Then she tells Mark Levin that the files are being delivered to my office in a truck. So they were on her desk, but then they weren't on her desk. And then they were delivered to her office in a truck. And then the big bad boogeymen over at the deep state were trying to sabotage her, and they lied to her about the real Epstein documents. And then they were going to be released at a later date. But now, right? We don't know, because Pam Blondie also came out this last week and said that there's no set deadline for when they're going to release the Epstein files, even though we were told she already released the Epstein files. Remember when she gave out these binders, right? Bindergate. How could we forget Bindergate? So look, I think we need to just have a come to Jesus moment here and realize and admit that Pam Blondie is a liar, right? She is a full-fledged liar. She has, in my opinion, little to no credibility as a result of her lies about one of the most high-profile criminal cases ever, the Jeffrey Epstein sex scandal.
And I kind of wonder why these people are so adamant about having the Epstein files released, because like everything's pointing to Trump. It seems like Trump is like connected to it in some way, but even Alex Jones is jumping in on this. And
James O'Keefe's, one of the two big stories he's breaking is about someone in the Trump administration covering up Epstein. And then he put out a little short trailer yesterday that shows an image or still shot of video of Pam Bondi. So he didn't tell me the specifics. When he called me and me alone as a dead man switch, so I was, I guess, flattered by him. He's like, I think you might be the only person that I know has the integrity to tell this in case something happens. And then when he told me, I was like, yeah, you are in danger, buddy. He told me the other stuff too, but he wouldn't even say who in the administration. I made some phone calls, and I told the crew over the weekend, I said, it's Pam Bondi. According to my sources, and because the White House already knows about this. So I wouldn't even tell the crew last week what the specifics were, because I don't want to endanger them.
so a lot of these Trump supporters, Trump influencers, Trump tards, however you like to call them, are definitely hell-bent on getting these Epstein files, but they're not going to go after Trump because that would go against the marching orders. So instead, they got to go to the person right below him, and that would be Pam Bondi in this case, which is kind of weird how like a lot of these Trump supporters just seem to have like new marching orders to go after Pam Bondi and not mention Trump at all, when Trump was literally the one that said this.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah,
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
So yeah, there's a lot of phony stuff in there, like a lot of phony stuff in those Epstein files. Why are you asking about it? Why do you keep on asking me? You don't want them. Just leave me alone. Now, if you're wondering why a lot of these Trump influencers are asking for the report, pounding the table, saying, we want the Epstein files, and it seems like they do this like every month. They ask for the report, they forget about it, and then they ask for it like the next month and they just never get it. But the reason they want it now is because there's this new report saying that Pam Bondi has seen the files, and there's like a lot of video with a lot of underage people, I guess. And it kind of like implicates Pam Bondi, saying that she's actually the one that covered it up. So, which is why I guess everybody's just throwing her under the bus, even though we all know who the real person that's covering it up is.
Had a very similar conversation with a total stranger in a restaurant.
Do you know when the Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been.
Okay.
So.
Any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tons of thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids, so they have to go through every one.
In the past, officials have spoken about the, quote, mountain of evidence in the Epstein case, but they've never, previous to that moment, acknowledged on the existence of videos of, quote, little kids.
But yeah, but it seems like this caught the attention of Congress, because then Congress reached out to Kash Patel, asking him, questioning him, be like, where are my Epstein files? Where are they? And then Kash Patel just kind of says, well, it's coming soon. but soon just never comes.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
But that's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Do I have Trump derangement syndrome? Maybe I do. But that's about it. Peace.